Which point of Gyan inspired you when you first took the Raj Yoga course?
I think the first point of knowledge was probably about a week after I started morning class. And Baba was talking about the three worlds. And this was quite enlightening for me. I'd never heard of this aspect. But in this, I also realized that I really had to study. And so this was my first realization of understanding Gyan. I'd had realizations before that I'd found what I was looking for, but the first point of knowledge was to do with the three worlds.
What made you to continue the Brahmin life?
I think the intoxication of being found truth, if there was that one single aspect, because I'd spent many years searching. I didn't know for what, but I immediately realized I'd found truth. And that was huge. And nothing has changed from that day till now.
Share your experience of Baba's support in your personal life or service.
A very interesting question to reflect on. I think Baba's actually influencing everything I do. It's not just one particular point, because I always make sure with all the service that I'm doing it the way Baba wants me to do it, not the way someone else or I want to do it. It's the way Baba wants me to do it. I don't think there's one, maybe with some reflection I could think of some instances, but no, you either take knowledge 100% from Baba, so every day's Murli has one special point in it that you can reflect on and relate it to how you live your Brahman life, your dana. So everything, we live a life of dana, or religion, you could call it that even. But it has to be the way Baba wants us to do it. And it's a very deep and personal aspect of Gyan for me. I've been very fortunate, of course, that because I do things in this way, I don't need anything. I have everything. So my Brahman life is my life. I don't have a Lokik life, a Brahman life sometimes. It's 100% Brahman life.
Share your experiences with Janki Dadiji and Nirmala Didiji.
Sharing an experience with Daddy Janki many years ago, and I've had many with Daddy Janki. Of all the experiences I've had, there's one that stayed with me forever, because it was a great awareness moment. We were in Kuala Lumpur, this is 20 years ago or something, for a National Coordinator Centre Coordinator retreat, like the one we're having here in Chennai. And the main instruments were in a room. There were hundreds there, but the main instruments. And Daddy Jenki walked in. She sat down. We all thought, oh, Daddy's going to give us a talk. And she just sat there and gave us drishti for 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know how long. Then she looked at me. And she said, you're okay. Very simple, isn't it? Very, very simple. But that was the first time in my life I realized I was okay. And that was life-changing, because from that time on, I've never had to prove to anyone that I'm okay. It's so deep in the soul, it shook the very foundation of my soul at that time. It was a most beautiful experience. The other one from Nirmala Ben, had many with Didi. We didn't always agree with Didi. That's okay, you didn't have to. But the one thing that we all learnt from Didi Nirmala was obedience. Even though we may not agree with everything Didi wanted to do, but at the end when she said, okay, we're going to do it like this, do this, we did that. We didn't argue, we just did it her way. And we all learned, and you'll find that with the national coordinators are here in Chennai, the Asia Pacific group are very close, very, very close. We operate really as a family, but we all learned how to be servants for Baba from Didi Nirmala in her way, because she taught us how to sustain. That was her speciality. She sustained us, so we sustain our students in the same way.
Would you like to say something about Dadi Prakashmani?
In 1995, when I went to Madhaban, I was on the way in Singapore airport, so it started there. And because I was an IT brother, in those days we didn't call it IT, we called it multimedia. So because I was already doing this, when I was traveling, I'd always stop in the bookshop and see what the latest computer magazines were and that. And on this day in the airport, I saw one magazine and said, they used to put compact discs in the front of the magazines. And this one said, multimedia examples. Oh, I don't need that. But a little voice in my mind said, take that. Oh, yeah? But I didn't. But I went to the counter and I bought 3 other magazines. And the brother on the counter said that this one is free. If you buy 3, you get a free this one. It was the same magazine. So, oh, that's odd. Anyway, so we got to Madhaban. And in the morning, after Murli, Daddy G was reading Murli. And she said, anybody that's interested in multimedia, would you come to the room above the meditation hall after Murli? I know at 10 a.m. Yep. So I went. And Ramesh Shah was there, Karuna Bai and Chelsea Bai and a few others. And we talked about multimedia. And I said, anybody done multimedia? No. Oh, give us some examples. So, okay, I said, then I realized why I had the CD. We had one computer. It was in Gyan Sarovar. They were building Gyan Sarovar. So we only had one. We didn't have a CD player. But I had a CD player with me. I brought for Tulsi Bai. Yeah? So they asked me to write a document to set out multimedia for the Yagya. It was called Road to Multimedia. And I was thinking while I was writing this, how am I going to fund this? I knew nothing about how the Yagya funding worked, yeah? Then a brother came in, he said, you've got to go back to Pandabab and Daddy G wants to meet you. Daddy G? Okay. So very important, yeah? So I went. I arrived a bit early and Daddy was early. So she walked in and she started telling me, without me asking, how all the Yagya finances work. And I thought, oh, how come, Did somebody tell Daddy about this? I asked her sister who was translating Daddy at the time. She said, no, Daddy just knows what you need. We got to learn over the years then, Daddy had such a strong connection with Baba, she knew what we needed. It was amazing. And so I had many little connections with Daddy over the years on these type of events. Whenever we were doing something, we go and meet Daddy. And her insights into the Yagya and how it all worked were just amazing. So we're very fortunate, of course, to have daddy, in that way.
What is your present Purusharat?
Oh, so I was explaining this, yeah. The current effort I have now, I talked about three things that are a part of this. First is unity. The second part, harmony. And then collective consciousness. These three, once I get through those three, and I'm not through all three, then I'll reach a divinity level. Divinity, when we talk about divinity, Baba says we have a divine intellect, yes? That's because we can understand Baba's knowledge. That's the basis. But it doesn't give us a divine mind or a divine consciousness. So according to Baba, we've got to get the intellect and the consciousness divine to reach a divinity level. And Baba then, of course, along with that, the other thing I'm doing is making sure that everything I do has a value, everything. Because by doing that, I can start to settle my karmic accounts. And I've still got a few to settle. I know that. I'm not karma teach yet. But this is the effort I'm making. Time is getting very short, yes? You can sense it in the world now. It's what we're doing to each other as human beings. Don't even talk about it. We have the great fortune of being Baba's children. Not just being Baba's children, but knowing we're Baba's children. And everyone in the family is, all the human souls are Baba's children, but we are Baba's direct heir children. So it's so important now to be making sure we're moving towards the end game. If you ever play chess, there are three parts of a chess game: the opening gambit, the middle game, and the end game. We are now in the end game of chess. And to win that, to get the prize at the end, we're going to have to make great effort. It's not on the big things anymore, like the 5 vices. So, now we've basically mastered those. A little bit of ego, a little bit of attachment still. But what about the children of those 5 vices? Yeah? Anxiety, guilt, fear, stress, worry. These are the children of or the grandchildren maybe of the 5 vices. So we're going to make sure we don't have any of these in our personality at all. These are the challenges that we get from Maya now, because they're going to be very subtle as we move towards the end game. In the game, you've got to be very clever with your moves in the end game. One mistake and you lose. You're gone.
Define. Yagya Rakshak, or protector of Yagya.
I'm very interested in this subject. I actually joined a group 2 years ago as protector of the Yagya. And I find this goes about, the better way that we actually protect the Yagya is with the virtue of magnanimity, where we are generous with Baba's knowledge to everyone, not just to important people and mics and that, but to everyone. Everyone we meet, we should give good feeling. That way we protect the Yagya itself. Because today in the world there are many people who are influencers. They get on social media, you make one little mistake, they can really attack. But they're only tests, really. So our faith in Baba's system has to be very powerful. So we shouldn't have opinions we should just have Gyan. But we've got to understand what we're doing. The way we protect it is to be able to explain Baba's Gyan in a practical way. Sometimes when I listen to them early, and I'm listening to them early every day, and when you hear Brahma Baba talk, he's talking about events 60 years ago. Like Baba talked about buying land on the moon. That was very big business they talked about 60 years ago. I remember that. I was around. But we're now going to bring that into context of today's world so people can explain it. So we have to come up with new metaphors and other ways of explaining Gyan. However, the way that we protect the Gita is to explain it in ways that people can understand it. Don't just give Gyan out like you're putting jam onto bread. You've got to give taste to it, flavour to it, so people enjoy it. And then people will say, Brahma Kumari Yagya is very good.
Rapid fire questions. Janki Dadi Ji.
Oh, Daddy Janki, the magic of Daddy Janki to me, she could just look at me and know my stage.
Didi Nirmala.
Her ability to sustain.
Which speciality of yours do you think inspired Baba to choose you as his special child?
I think that if I have a speciality in a way, it's lightness.
Which relationship with Baba you love most?
Oh, I think always as the father.
Which dham of Pandav Bhavan do you like the most among the Char Dhams?
History Hall.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word Madhuban?
Oh, that's a lovely question. Madhuban is the home, and every other centre in the world is a room in that home. Om Shanti.